media.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. I want to talk about free speech because free speech is often a problem that we run into, especially on platforms like this one that you're watching this video on. Free speech has been a major issue in Canada and a major part of Pierre Poilievre's campaign when it comes to Justin Trudeau's censoring on the internet. If you want to talk about social media, well, even social media has had its fair share of censoring over the years. Now, we've seen people like Elon Musk come in and purchase Twitter, now calling it X, where even the realm of free speech seems to be questionable at some times. We've seen platforms like Rumble and Kick come out where people essentially have a little bit more freedom to talk about the way they want to. But what I want to talk about today is how there's a shift going on and why even companies like CTV and the government, paid shilled prostitutes, are going to find that they're going to have a hard time moving forward when Justin Trudeau's out of office and when we see the culture continue to shift back towards people having their own opinions rather than always worrying about offending people. Let's take a look at what happened over here. Mark Zuckerberg appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast. Now, again, this really isn't getting towards what CTV did, but it does paint a picture, and it's part of the reason I want to show this, because a good friend of the channel, Marty Up North, had tweeted out, this is nothing more, than self-preservation. Mark Zuckerberg didn't have a change of heart and suddenly become pro-free speech. No, he's sensing the shift that's happening. Like all bad ideologies before it, the area of wokeism is approaching its end. And I think it's a very bold and true statement. When you look at society, you look at platforms like Facebook. I don't know about you guys, I haven't been on Facebook in ages, simply because anytime I would post a picture, a funny joke, a meme, I would be banned for 30 days. I would be told that I couldn't post or use my account or talk to people that I was in contact with. I essentially keep my Facebook now merely for messaging friends that are still connected to the platform through its messenger service, but I don't post fairly often, in fact, hardly at all on that platform anymore. Especially during pandemic days where I'd seen Facebook taking a shift saying, we're going to punish you now for things that you posted years ago that are now sitting in your profile. And of course, if people have been on Facebook as long as I have, in fact, since basically the early days back in 2006, well, of course, you're not going to go back and scroll through your entire history and take down photos. I don't see why the platform couldn't have merely just removed those photos or those ideologies from your timeline and said, these are our policies going forward, rather than punishing those who had been there for a very long time. But let's take a listen to the hypocrisy of Mark Zuckerberg as we watch the left start to implode on themselves. Here we go.
There was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
We had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant. So our protocol is different from Twitter's. What Twitter did is they said you can't share this at all. We didn't do that. What we do is we have, if something is reported to us as potentially misinformation, important misinformation, we also have this third-party fact-checking program because we don't want to be deciding what's true and false.
I'm going to stop Mark Zuckerberg right there because that is a blatant lie, and you can tell how nervous he is when he's talking about this. Of course they censored it. They said, well, we didn't shut it down altogether. No, but you went and banned accounts that posted those things. You labeled it misinformation. You shut people's free speech down. This is the big problem, is now you've got people who aren't using the platform anymore, especially since people like Elon Musk or those offering alternatives have come out of the woodwork to say that we're not going to use your social media giant anymore, Mark Zuckerberg. You do not have a monopoly. And I think he's starting to discover very quickly, as the major CEO of Facebook, that this is damning for his business if he wants to move forward by silencing people on an internet platform, telling them, hey, you're not allowed to share this because the FBI came and said, look, we're paid by the president. The president wants us to protect people. We can't have these things going out there. And Mark Zuckerberg said, well, they'll go out there, but we'll just, do our due diligence afterwards and punish those who put it on, while Twitter just says, don't do it at all.
And for I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
It got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful. But I mean, but basically, a lot of people were still able to share it. We got a lot of complaints that was the case. Obviously this is a hyper political issue. So depending on what side of the political spectrum, you either think we didn't censor it enough or censored it way too much. But we weren't sort of as black and white.
So right there, he says it in blatant terms. They were shadow banning, right? Shadow ban, essentially, if you're not internet lingo, shadow ban basically means what Zuckerberg said. You can post onto Facebook, but we're going to drastically push down the visibility of said post to make sure that others can't see it. We've seen YouTube do it all the time. In fact, I see YouTube do it on a very frequent basis whenever I'm saying something negative about Captain Socks, our prime minister, and depending on the time of year, the time of month, the day, they'll push anything down if it's hot enough to make sure that those who are on this platform, even those who are subscribed with their bells turned on, and by the way, if you're not already, you should be, that they don't consume this product, that they don't consume the post that's coming their way. It often boggles my mind how people are allowed to be suppressed like that. But Zuckerberg basically coming out saying, well, we didn't completely censor it. But when you say we didn't completely, that also implies that you did. You did censor it in some medium, whether you want to admit it or not. The hypocrisy is just astounding. But one of the bigger things to come out is what we're seeing by the government-paid shilled prostitutes in Canada, with this posting from Ezra Levant, who says, never trust CTV News. They hate you and they lie to you. And just like the CBC state broadcaster, they take massive subsidies from Justin Trudeau. I've seen a lot of people in the comment section saying, well, you're just mad because you don't get those subsidies. You don't get those grants. Ezra Levant does just fine, okay? He does not need the government subsidies. And he doesn't want to be a part of the communist regime of state-run broadcasters. He wants to deliver actual news. Now, what we're seeing here is RFK Jr. coming out to talk about Donald Trump. Now, RFK Jr., of course, standing up with Donald Trump recently, talking about how beneficial him running is for America. And here's the hypocrisy. He's talking in this video about the freedom of speech, what it means to our democracy, what it means to America's democracy. And of course, the government-paid shilled prostitutes censor him while he's speaking. Let's take a look.
What most alarms me isn't how the Democratic Party conducts its internal affairs or runs its candidates. What alarms me is the resort to censorship and media control and the weaponization of the federal agencies. When a U.S. president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech, it's an attack on our most sacred right of free expression, and that's the very right upon which all of our other constitutional rights rest. President Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party...
I'm going to jump in here. This is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He was a so-called third-party candidate. I'm jumping in because he's espousing conspiracy theories about why Joe Biden left the race and Kamala Harris, and this is a sort of standard operating procedure for Kennedy. It's one of the reasons why his candidacy really went nowhere. He has questioned.
So there you have it. The CTV once again bringing out things like misinformation. To just jump in the middle of a speech, and sorry for the audio, this was recorded over someone's television in their living room, but basically saying that, hey, he's talking about free speech, but hey, since we're government paid broadcasters, just as RFK Jr. was mentioning that when government broadcasters are censoring what you can hear and what you can say, well, CTV does the obvious thing and shows the true hypocrisy of government state media by cutting him off and stating, well, this is why he lost his candidacy. This is why he's now backing Donald Trump, because he's a complete wacko. He's a Yahoo. Don't listen to him. Listen to us. We care about you. It's hilarious because, I mean, if somebody first posts no lies told when Trudeau was standing at the press gallery dinner, obviously saying that we pay the news media outlets to say what we want them to say. That's why we get away with scandals. I mean, you can see here all of the mainstream media are just propaganda machines. You can see CTV cutting him off like that together with the editorial commentary trying to justify it is one of the reasons why legacy media has lost credibility. Kennedy might be right or he might be wrong, but either way, it's not for CTV to censor what we see and hear merely because it offends them. This is where our country is at, and as we head into our next federal election, it's really going to show who votes what direction, because there still is a very large percentage of older generation folks out there who trust and listen to local media. Whether we like that or not, a lot of people don't consume their products here on YouTube or Rumble or other social media giants in order to get their information. Everything is flagged as false. It's shadow banned, as Mark Zuckerberg was talking about recently, and essentially it gets buried. This is going to be a big problem heading into our next election if government paid media is on the backs of Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, the Bloc, trying to make sure that those voices supporting any other party other than the ones they prefer that give them their billions of dollars in handouts is essentially wrong or should be silenced. I don't know what this is going to mean for Canada moving forward, but CTV definitely having a massive fail here, coming out showing just what censorship looks like during a censorship speech, making them look like fools and auto hypocrites at this point. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think we're going to see a lot of this during Canada's federal election? Do you think that CTV did the right thing? I'm willing to bet I already know the answer to that one. Let me know what you think down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Don't forget, as you're clicking that bar, you hit the bell for notifications to join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night at 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific, where we do Friday Night Fringe, our weekly live streaming show where I sit down with my beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, and we talk to you guys about everything going on in politics for the week, as well as everything we know that's coming up ahead. We also like to hear what you guys have to say outside of making these videos, and it's a great time to just sit back and chat with you guys about day-to-day opinions and feelings on things, and we look forward to hearing what each and every one of you has to say, especially this upcoming Friday, and hope to see you there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.